about me last week. Nathaniel. Sorry, my bad. I didn't butcher your name, bro. Messaged me about he recently joined the church. Probably about in his message, he recently joined the church maybe about like 8 months ago. Yeah, 8 months ago. And he was telling me that at first, when he first joined the church, people were like, oh, you need to get a part of a church, you need to get a church home, you need to get a church home, you need to get a church home, you need a church home. So he went ahead and he joined the church. Now, he said, what's the course of him being there? He liked it the first month. They pretty much were filling him out, seeing what he was about. Second month, they pretty much got an established idea of him, and he, still liked the church. He actually wanted to be a part of a ministry in the church, and they made him take a class. They made him do a bunch of stuff so he can be a part of this ministry. Then something happened the third month. He said that he was approached by one of the elders in the church about his sexual preference. And he said he was deeply offended because he is not that, but if he was, why does that concern them? You should be focused on me coming to fellowship than my preference, which is true. And he said he still went to church, he still came. And he said, the fourth month, they started acting weird differently to him. Fifth month, they pretty much no one's talking to him no more. The sixth month, they being rude, ignorant, even, just going out of his way to be disrespectful. He said the seventh month, it just got crazy, where to the point where, they even had a sermon about him. He said they had a whole sermon about me. It's like, wow. He said the eighth month, he was like, you know what? I can't do it no more. I gotta go. I gotta go. And he said, he actually spoke to the pastor about it. And he said the pastor actually asked him, is it true? So, I'm gonna tell myself this morning. I really am. Nathaniel, I apologize for what happened to you. I know you got into a church because you wanted to grow spiritually. Unfortunately, people get to church and they want to grow too. But at the same time, old habits die hard. Just because you go to a church does not mean that, your majority of brothers and sisters there are going to be where they should be spiritually. A lot of them are still maturing in their faith. A lot of them are still growing. A lot of them, believe it or not. And believe it or not, the devil actually went to church too. He's sung in the choir, my mom used to always say. But I'm going to just say this. Do not let that deter you from your spiritual growth. Do not let that deter you from your spiritual growth. You don't have to go to that church, because sometimes God will make things uncomfortable for you just so you can go and be somewhere else. Maybe God wanted you to go through that door to see how it would be. Now you have to understand what you want to do. You got into a ministry. Congratulations, brother. Now, guess what? You can go to another church and say, hey, listen, this was my ministry there. Do you need help? Boom. Or, if you want, if you feel as though that you had such a bad taste in your mouth, you don't have to, forgive me for saying this, you don't really have to go to church. You can worship by yourself. Or you can get a part of like a revival, or a group of people that, pretty much feel the same way, and you can have your own fellowship. Church pretty much is the people. It's the people. The church is actually a building, but the church is the people. You can actually, start your own thing. I mean, I say start church, become pastor and all that stuff. You know what? Hey, if you want to go back to school and get your theology, go ahead. But I'm just making suggestions. Me personally, I grew up in the church. I did. I grew up in a church. My mom I grew up Pentecostal. Now I'm non-denomination. And I grew up in the church when I was young. You know, I learned a lot of morals and values, and I also learned how church politics work. And when I was married at one time. When I was married, I went to her church, and that was a big mistake. I should have just, but at the time I didn't have a church home, so I started going to her church. I learned that, I learned how church people can be. Some make you feel some type of way where you don't want to be involved with that no more. You don't want to be involved with church. So me personally, as a person, I don't go to church. But me and God, we have a great fellowship. I pray, I read, I fast, because that's where I'm at spiritually. I think a church would not enhance that. They would only suppress it. So therefore, I don't go to a church. And I mean, not to say that's one of the main reasons. Also, I work a lot of Sundays. So I do understand where you're coming from, where you said that situation left a really bad taste in your mouth. Well, when I was married and me and my ex-wife, we separated and we went through the things we went through, it kind of drew a bad taste in my mouth, because the things she did and how she had such a support system. Well, at the time, I wasn't that mature spiritually, and I wasn't mature mentally either to understand, like, okay, wait a minute, Jabari. She grew up in the church, number one. 2, they're going to take her aside because she had a ministry there. 3, her family goes to their church. And 4, you're an outsider. So whatever she say is gonna have clout over you. Whatever you say is gonna be in void. So, and I got so disgusted by how I was treated when we were going through our divorce, and how everything was. I was like, man, it made me get away from the church for a while. And actually, my brother AJ, he kind of brought me back to the church. Talked to me about it, ministered to me, and brought me back. And I'm not gonna lie and say I don't go to church events. I go to a lot of church events. What I do is I go to a lot of conferences, for spiritual growth, spiritual wellness, spiritual elevation. I go to a lot of conferences with my brother Aaron and a couple of my brothers. But do I actually go to a church? Nah, not really. Because sometimes church people, they're not the best. And me personally, I'm a natural extrovert. I love to socialize with everybody. Love to. So when you come off to me with a certain energy, I'll give you the same energy you give me. But majority of the time, what I do is I'm so spiritually mature. I apologize for the sun. I'll give back that positive energy, because I want you to have a little bit. I don't know what's going on in your life, but I want you to have something good from me. But don't let that deter you, brother. Use that as an encouragement. Use that as God's way of telling you He wants you to be somewhere else and allow you to grow spiritually. I'm going to pray for you. Actually, I did pray for you already, but I'm going to pray for you that God finds you a church home and leads you the right way. Don't let that deter you. Let that strengthen you. What doesn't hurt you makes you stronger. And I believe that made you a stronger person. Because not only did it make you grow up spiritually, it made you realize what you want from a church. It made you realize what you need. And it made you realize what you can bring. So I hope that helps you, and I hope that helps somebody else. Because I know when I walked away from church, I was like gone for maybe 3 years. Yeah, 3 years. I was sliding back. I was sliding back. But neither here nor there. That's a story for another time. But brother, I pray that helps, and I hope I hope you find a church home that where you can grow, and you can your family can grow, and don't take whatever someone else's opinion deter you from your faith. Okay, don't even let that interfere with that. People are people. My thing is, when people say, what I do is, I forgot to speak to you. What I do is when somebody says something ignorant to me or say something remotely don't make no sense, I usually deflect it. Like, I usually just smile and say, okay, and God bless you anyway, love you. And I just leave it at that, you know? Because there's nothing you can say to steal my joy. You should be the same way. Because sometimes people are going through so much stuff, you know, they want to make somebody else have a bad day. Believe it or not, people are like that. People just want people to have, but that's the devil in them. That's not them, that's the devil in them, you know? But I got too deep, so I just wanted to let you know. I had to answer that. I forgot to answer that first. But I hope that helped with that.